go.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to another weekly edition of Split Decision MMA, coming to you a day early.
A day early?
You're
so lucky.
Unless we release it tomorrow.
No, I'll put it
Okay, going a day early.
Yeah.
Because we got shit to do. We have lives. We don't just do this. I mean, we do just do this, but we do other things
Yeah,
sometimes.
I'm going to Yosemite.
There you
Maybe.
go.
Just
Maybe.
outside of Yosemite.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly.
As long as you
If
can
we
get up
make
there.
it.
If you can get up there.
I hope we make it. It'd be
But
awesome.
anyway, every week we come to you with all the MMA news, rumors, things happening around. We got fights to preview, fights to recap, and yeah, let's talk some fights, man.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it. First story, Conor McGregor makes the Super Bowl really boring. I mean, there's no correlation that he actually made it really boring.
He was there and it was boring?
He was there. It was boring. We're going to put those two together. Conor McGregor was at the Super Bowl in Atlanta.
Yeah, he calls it purple suits.
Yeah, you see the purple suit. His son had the purple suit. No wife, because she's pregnant, probably couldn't fly.
I don't know. When he runs around with this kid like this, dude, he's a good guy. I wanna see the good guy in him.
Around meeting people. Oh, hi, super humble, super nice.
Being the fan.
Being a fan of the NFL and people, and talk to Robert Kraft about when they met back in Boston, and took a bunch of pictures of Kevin Hart.
I got a couple million. You got a lot of billion.
They're wearing matching suits though. I wonder if those are both going to be in the Conor McGregor line. His son's wearing Gucci shoes though.
Yeah, of course he is.
Brendan Schaub right now is having fucking orgasms over the Gucci.
Yeah,
He loves Brendan
but
Schaub,
see,
loves Gucci
here's the
if you don't
difference.
listen to
Here's the
the podcast.
difference. Gucci sent those to him.
Very
Brendan
true.
Schaub had to buy his.
Oh.
Wah, wah, wah.
Also, while he was there in Atlanta, he took a stop at ATT, American Top Team.
I'm just thinking that the hotel he had didn't have a gym.
They had
That's the only
pictures
thing I could
of
think
him,
of.
or excuse me, a picture of him at an ATT Atlanta gym. He was rolling with the head instructor there, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Of course, this sent shockwaves through the MMA underground and some of the guys on the forums being like, oh, Conor trains at ATT.
Right.
He left his place in Ireland. No, I think he was just needed to work out.
Yeah, so
who knows? Maybe he's doing a meet and greet. Who knows?
Yeah, so you get that call at Top Team. You don't say no.
Yeah, you gonna say no to somebody big like that?
Yeah, you're like, come on
Get
in.
all your students down there?
Yeah, but like you said, when we're trying to do research on it, I fully expected to see a lot more pictures.
Yeah.
So it kind of was.
Yeah, maybe he did just ask for a private session. Hey, I just need a gym to come roll in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe he just let that coach take the picture because, I mean, he's the actual guy who rolled with him.
Yeah, he's the guy that rolled with him, of course.
Right.
So, yeah, moving on from there. Obviously, like I said, he comes back in, what did we say, May?
Yeah, I think he can fight as soon as May if you go by the timeline.
Is what he's got, right?
Right, but I don't know if he has to wait till 6 months to sign, which would be 6 months and then 3 months, because usually like 12 weeks, right?
Yeah, I think he's eligible to fight, so he could probably sign ahead of time, knowing that it has to be after that date.
Right.
I think that's the way.
But I mean, it's just like we're sitting here trying to figure out Khabib. So Khabib could fight.
Yep. Speaking of,
you were back one.
Speaking of Khabib, yeah.
He could fight as soon, if you go by the timeline, as July. But he's saying
He's now saying he is refusing to do the PSAs, the anti-bullying PSAs in Nevada. He said that the state of Nevada is where drugs, prostitution, and gambling are officially permitted, so let them work on themselves first. I'm willing to sit out 9 months.
He's all, you guys know what you need? You need religion in Vegas. You need religion.
So he is going to wait 9 months now instead of the 6. He's not going to sit there and wait. So he will be available. What did we figure out? What's that come down to?
I'm just somewhere in July.
In July.
Oh, the year?
Yeah,
if we go a year.
Well, yeah, October. Well, now
October, so then it would be the Christmas card according to you.
Yeah, that's if he wants to sit out the full year along with his teammates. But he's eligible now that he's not taking the sentence reduction to fight in July, right?
Right.
That's what we figured out.
So how many of you believe that an interim belt in that weight class will show up around July fight week?
Yeah, there are some rumors. In fact, even Khabib himself said that he feels that the UFC may create an interim belt while waiting for him. Do you think we need one?
No.
I mean, don't you think interim belts are getting a little ridiculous?
No, just there's enough fights below him to start figuring things out.
To figure out number one contenders and all that kind of shit.
Even if you have to have 2, 3, 2... No, actually it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because now the champ. So if we have to have...
You got champ, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's just mix and match 1 through 5 for a while.
See what happens.
And and if one guy wins a lot, then he's the next contender.
Speaking of interim belts, this man once held an interim belt, Colby Covington, which Dana White said flat out he no longer has the interim belt. He's like, you're not an interim belt holder. We have no need for the interim belt anymore. It's only for when we need it and we need to sell pay-per-views.
Right.
But in all reality, you don't get an interim belt anymore, even though we gave it to you. In fact,
And as we discovered in another podcast, that apparently your belt just deactivates.
yeah.
They don't come and take your interim belt.
Nope.
It just goes from active, and then a light turns off, and
Lights,
it's
boop, boop,
deactivated.
Yeah, you can't.
And you can no longer get into the UFC gym.
You can't get into the UFC gym as a champion anymore. You have to make an appointment like a regular fighter.
Yeah. And you can only go up to the 4th floor. And you will not get in the champagne room.
But according to Colby Covington, he is planning to possibly take this to court and at a lawsuit. He says, we may go to court. This may be a lawsuit. Like if Tom Brady wins the AFC championship and all of a sudden Roger Goodell says you're not going to go to the Super Bowl because we don't like you. That's not how it works. This is business.
That's a parallel analysis right there.
This is business, and just because you don't like someone, that's not a big deal. This is business, and they're going to have to get over the fact that they don't like me, and they're going to have to play ball and do business. He says if the UFC wants to be a circus and corrupt business and go about their business, then that's their problem. I'm standing up for what I believe in, and I'm not going to back down. I don't care what Uncle Fester has to say. I am the #1 ranked fighter in the world. Look it up on the UFC website. I had a belt wrapped around my waist by Uncle Fester, and I'm the only fighter to go to the White House. That's never happened before. What else do I have to do? What's the criteria for getting a title shot these days?
Okay, like Woodley was going to go to the White House, right? I mean, who else was going to go? Tito might go to the White House.
He loves going to the White House, yeah. But he's not
Dana
champion.
himself.
He's not champion. So.
Yeah, but I can't think of any other fighter that would just... I'm surprised Stipe hasn't gone. But maybe he just don't want to get in that...
He don't want to get anything?
He don't want to, yeah.
He says that there are possibilities, but they want me to go backwards and fight for a 5th or paycheck that they promised me. This isn't happening. I'm not fighting for a 5th of my paycheck that was promised and owed and guaranteed and earned. They're not going to get anything less out of me. I'll sit on the shelf all day and we'll go to court. I make a living... for the UFC, and I don't give a shit. They're already trying to make my life a living hell, so it doesn't make sense.
I don't understand how he says, because if I'm right, he's still getting paid no matter what, right?
Yeah, they have to pay out something.
Yeah, he has a set contract.
They could pay him out to sit. They could pay him out to leave. They could pay him out to let him go.
You know, as we're talking, I'm realizing the unlimited possibilities that this man had as an interim belt and what he did while... I mean, you could have made so much money, right?
I mean, you got, Woodley's talking about him how, you don't want to talk shit. Like, you don't, believe me, this is Woodley saying, I talk shit and it didn't really get me what I wanted.
No, it don't.
Yeah, in fact, they kind of snubbed me about it. But once I started playing ball and we started getting things out, now, everything's better. Why don't you just shut up and take it? You know what I mean? Like, this is the business. It is what it is. You do what it is. You do what they tell you to do.
Yeah, and I'm not saying get under the man's thumb.
Right.
But I mean, you guys, you have to understand that you're all trying to make money.
Yeah.
And you can't cut off the hand that's feeding you.
Right. I mean, there was a story out this week about a fighter, former UFC fighter, right, who never wants to go to the UFC has not been in the UFC yet and says she will never go to the UFC because fuck Dana White and fuck the UFC and I'm better in Bellator and I'm better in Invicta.
I don't know. I mean, why? It's career suicide, kind of.
Yeah, but is it in this day and age? We have so many other promotions. Is it to say, look at Ben Askren, who was constantly talking shit about?
But we've also
Dana
seen
White.
We've also seen these situations where they need to find somebody to fight, and if you're somebody that can fill that niche, we know you'll get paid.
Yeah,
sure. If you can help get a card filled.
Yep.
So I mean,
like I said though, Ben Askren talked shit so many years about Dana White, right? Here he is fighting. He brought up old tweets today.
I know.
Where Dana White was tweeting about how he watches a Ben Askren fight to go to sleep when Ambien doesn't work. He brought that tweet up today and was like, it was in 2013, and he flat out said, he goes, well, I hope Dana White can stay awake for my fight this weekend, or this upcoming week.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the guys were saying, Ben Askren was fighting Uber drivers over in where he was fighting, and I think Dana's on that train of thought too. I think there's a small part of me that thinks that Dana has brought him over to try to embarrass him or show him that he's not the fighter that he believes he is.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, Robbie Lawler's a tough guy to gauge, but if he can out wrestle him, which I believe he can.
Okay, so that's a whole other
which we'll get to. That's in, what is that now? 3 weeks?
But I'm just saying that's a whole other conversation too. I mean, is this the best Lawler that you could put up against Askren?
I don't know. Former champion Lawler, but not.
This is got knocked out by Woodley with one punch Lawler. I'm not saying Askren couldn't get dropped by Woodley in one punch, but You know, for Askren to beat Woodley, he has to get him to the ground.
He has to get, I think he can do. Moving on, there some further beef that's been going on. Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic.
Beef in the heavyweight division.
Stipe Miocic recently had this kind of emotional video where he's talking to his girl, saying that DC owes me this one, that he basically wants. He deserves a title shot again. He deserves a rematch. I know we've talked about, Joe Rogan has talked about that he should get a rematch because of everything he accomplished, all the fights that he had won, all the people that he had beat while he was champion, defending his belt, that he gets beat one time. He should.
But that's all us white entitled people.
That he should be getting a rematch. However, DC put on Twitter, reason number one, he's being entitled. Why have I fought since and he has not? He lost the fight and he is still the champ? ? No. Reason number two, I'm hurt. Reason number three, how do I do it better? I already beat him in a round last time. Right. So these are the reasons why he's saying he does not going to give Stipe Miocic his rematch. Stipe Miocic clapped back and said, DC, my entitled ass offered to fight you at UFC 230, November 3rd, Madison Square Garden. Instead, you fought Lewis while I was fighting Fires.
Damn!
Kind of a valid point.
Yeah.
Hey, I asked to fight you. You turned me down.
So I went and did real work.
So I went and did other stuff.
Real work.
I was fighting Fires instead. So it's not like I haven't fought because I haven't wanted to. I was doing work because you decided to decline the fight. Which I think a lot of people talked about. I mean, yeah, we were happy to see Black Beast in there and get his opportunity at a title.
But
we were happy.
That was the biggest soup can you could have gave him.
Yeah, we were happy, but everybody knew the outcome. Now, we were all rooting for Derek Lewis to get that one knockout punch. Not because we liked or disliked DC.
No.
It had nothing to do with that.
No.
It was just because everyone loves that true underdog story of Derek Lewis.
Right. It was the same reason everybody was going for McGregor over Floyd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I hated McGregor, but I was just like, if he does do it,
yes, for MMA,
that'd be the coolest shit ever. But it's not gonna happen. But that'd be the coolest shit ever.
Yeah. So I mean, we all knew that with Derek Lewis and Daniel Cormier. So I think a lot of people, and I kind of agree with Rogan there. I think that they should have had a rematch.
Yep.
Just like Cyborg should get her rematch after the Amanda Nunes fight. Like, dude, you're champion for that long. You're undefeated for that long. Like, give him an opportunity.
What is it with that belt that people want to go to that weight and then not fight for it again?
Right?
Except for Cyborg.
Yep, she's willing.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, big news this weekend. This sent shockwaves through the MMA community. Everybody was just nonstop about this.
Especially if you're a shit sprinkler of a MMA news site.
I mean,
and you're like the book of the fights.
This was the top headline for this weekend in MMA. This was Anthony Rumble Johnson signing with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
And small print as a liaison.
Huge news. Small print says, in fact, he had to put it out because Bare Knuckle wouldn't put it out. He had to put it out that he's not going to be a fighter.
Watch. The password is ambassador.
Ambassador. He is going to be an ambassador for Bare Knuckle Fighting, which means he will be there signing autographs, trying to sign fighters.
Because they don't have a 285 class.
Trying to bring people to watch it by being like, hey, I like this. I'm on board. You should be too.
Yeah.
You know, somebody like Boss Rutan, but it's not going to lie to you about why you're not getting paid.
Oh. Or like the CEO of PFL who's going to go watch tennis.
Hey, he's very involved in tennis, sir.
He's
it's
very
the sport
involved.
of his life.
It's his racket.
It's his racket. So, yeah, a lot of MMA fans disappointed that Johnson, who's one of the most devastating strikers out there, despite the weight class, is not going to be competing in bare knuckle boxing. He will be instead a ambassador. In fact, Ariel Helwani had to go on there. In fact, he had to go on his own Twitter, and he's like, I don't know what MMA site out there put this as a headline that made everyone think that I was signing with them to be possibly a fighter, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm just an ambassador.
Even when I seen it the first time, I'm like, you know what? Let's wait for it.
Well, my thing was, I was like, all right, I'll bite. I'll click the bait for you guys just because you guys want it to happen. Read the story. Immediately in the comments, it was like, save you 5 minutes. He's an ambassador. They don't like that one.
I love those guys in the comments.
Those are my favorite. Those are the heroes that we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, let me just wrap it up for you.
Yeah, let me synopsis here, or especially those ones on Facebook that it's like, you're reading the story and you're like, oh, this sounds kind of funny. And then it's like you have to click through 7 pages to
Right.
find that actual story. I love when people take that one and put it right in the comments. Be like, hey, title story, here's how it ends.
Yep.
Saved you 5 minutes of clicking.
Save you the pages.
However, he did say that anything can happen. He said if the price is right, anything can happen with the UFC. Dana is a businessman. He knows that when the time is right, we'll talk about it. But right now, the time is not right. There's no point. I'm not going to do it. And even if I am going to do it, I want it to be at heavyweight so we can all be eaten, be fat, and be happy. And go out there and slug out what happens. If they want me to go 205, I mean, the price has to be right.
Right.
So he's never turning down a comeback. He's never turning down a retirement is permanent.
Right.
Would you like to see Rumble come back?
Yes.
Would you like to see him in 205 or heavyweight?
Heavyweight.
Heavyweight, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah. I think we need more. We need more competition in heavyweight.
Oh, we do for sure.
We need a full 20-man roster in heavyweight.
Yeah, and we definitely need some
at least a 15.
Another fighter that was a heavy hitter back in the day, Wanderlei Silva, the axe murderer, recently went on a podcast. This was on, I think it was a Valtudo podcast out of Brazil, talking about his concussions. He is 42 years old. He has suffered half of his losses, 7 of 14 by knockout.
It's not good.
He says
He received a lot of sudden impact.
He says, he recently, we talked about this, I think the first time it was on the show, we actually made a joke about it.
That he checked off most of the boxes.
He checked off most of the boxes, and now he comes out and he says, I was at a lecture about concussion protocol, and out of the 10 symptoms, I have 8.
Right.
He has 8
No,
of the
Joey was the one that that checked the boxes, but we had mentioned Wanderlei Silva.
Yeah, we had mentioned Wanderlei Silva, yeah. Joey's so he's 0-2 in his first Bellator fights, however. He says he still wants to continue his career. He says, in his training and over his mind, he said, I believe the more you got punched, the more you could take it. Like that you could punch yourself into...
That's what Linda Lovelace said, but about something totally different.
Building up the resistance. Just keep punching me. Eventually my chin's going to get stronger.
Right.
No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't calcify your brain.
You can't calcify your brain.
You can calcify your shin bone, arm bone.
It's actually the more you get, the less you can fight. It's weird. If I could have a tip for any young guys, it's don't get hit every day. If you're a young student, don't take too hard punches to the head. There's a right time to do hard training, but it can't be every day, and a coach should take care of that. I mean, you talk about the guy. This guy was in the fight camp back in the day in Shoot Box. And Shoot Box, they were known for doing full contact sparring sessions every day.
Yeah.
And we're talking with some killers. Back in the day, Anderson Silva was in Shoot Box.
Right.
We're talking both Ninja and Shogun Hua were in Shoot Box. These are guys that are just heavy-handed strikers.
Right, but we had
with
gyms.
Valtudo and Muay Thai as their specialty. That's the gym that they grew up in, and that's the gym that they was talking about where it was full contact sparring. He's now realizing, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Why do you think Shogun has fucking bad knees?
Again.
Doing full contact sparring his entire life.
But that's what made these guys so tenacious.
Oh, it made them fan favorites, too.
Right.
Yeah, it made them definitely tenacious. He said that even though he is dealing with these concussion-like symptoms, he has no plans of retiring, and in fact, he is trying to get a fight with Vitor Belfort in Bellator. He says his loss...
Can you really say that you have 8 out of 10 and then turn around and ask for a fight?
His loss in 1998 hurts, and he says that especially when it's a weak fighter like Belfort. And he says, I will fight him twice if he wants. It's no problem. I'm fine. I'm healthy, and I'm training. You're not quite healthy if you have 8 out of 10 concussion symptoms, sir. But does Scott Coker care?
I think he should.
He definitely should.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
You don't want to be the first promotion to have a well-known name die in your ring.
Yeah, or have like permanent brain damage.
Right.
Yeah, pretty scary. Moving on from there, before we get into the recap and UFC preview and Bellator preview, if you are planning to watch UFC 234 this weekend, big scary news for you. If you have DirecTV, you got to find a new way to watch the fights.
Amazon Prime?
You can do it on Amazon Prime.
Sweet!
Because right now, DirecTV, which is one of the biggest pay-per-view providers in the country, as of now, will no longer carry UFC pay-per-view cards. They have not reached an agreement.
They should hurry up and put it on ESPN Plus.
They have not reached an agreement. Now, however, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
Big events have happened. All of a sudden, day before the event or day of the event, they reach an agreement and you can watch it. But as of right now, UFC 234 from Melbourne will not be available on DirecTV. However, Dana White recently went on Twitter and was like, guess what? You can watch it on UFC.com, ESPN.com, Amazon Prime, Sony PlayStation, Xbox, any other local cable provider, Dish Network. If you want to switch, you can find it.
How come not on Netflix yet?
Not on Netflix.
Oh, because they don't have any additional pay.
They don't do live streaming.
Okay.
It's all movies or TV shows, but nothing that's like live currently happening.
Does Hulu do any live stuff?
Yeah, they have live TV.
Okay.
They could be on Hulu.
All right.
So if you're planning on watching it, make sure if you have DirecTV, you find another way to watch it. Otherwise, you're going to be clicking and being like, fuck, man, I'm just trying to order the event. What's happening? All your people at your house are going to be upset. They're going to leave. You're not going to have any friends anymore. I mean, yeah.
Those are the people I feel bad for. People who don't pay attention to news and have everybody come into their house and they have DirecTV and they have no idea this is going on right now.
Yeah, no idea. If you listen to this podcast, guess what?
You would know.
Subscribe. Hit that button somewhere down in there on the YouTube, somewhere over here in the Facebook, somewhere over here in iTunes. I don't know where Dennis is going to put the buttons, if he puts the buttons, but subscribe. We'll keep you informed and make sure you get these fights. Moving on. Let's recap some fights. Let's go over to UFC Fortaleza.
I went 4 for 5 on my picks.
UFC Fight Night, Assunção versus Morales 2. UFC on ESPN Plus 2. UFC Fight Night 144. Gotta hit them all.
Yeah, that was all of them.
Hashtag. All of them.
Get it.
Going on to... let's just do the main card. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
I mean, let's see what we got here. Catchweight, Leva Renato Souza defeated Sarah
The girl
Frota.
with 3 names. Woo!
She won. Girl who was overweight did not win. Johnny Walker defeated Justin Ledet.
There's my 2.
With a spinning back fist, man. 15 seconds in. It was pretty brutal.
Get some.
It was nice. I liked it.
He needs to go back to his stripper walk-in. No homo.
Charles Oliveira defeats David Tamir.
3.
I got 1. I got 2. I'm on 2 because I checked Souza's as well. Damian Maia defeats Lyman Good.
I was a bitch.
Yeah.
I didn't commit.
Showed you that jiu-jitsu will always reign supreme when it's Damian Maia, unless you go to a decision, and then he's losing. Submission rear naked choke in the round 1, 238. Jose Aldo.
Man.
Showing vintage Jose Aldo.
Man.
Takes out Renato Marciano.
This is my negative. This is my -1.
Round 2. Calls out a bunch of people. Wants to fight everybody. Willing to go up in weight class, too. He'll be willing to go up to lightweight if he has to. He wants to fight everybody.
Yep.
Who would you like to see Jose Aldo fight? You think he should stay at featherweight or move on up?
I think he should move up.
Yeah?
I think he should go into...
He said he'll fight Showtime. He'll fight Conor. He'll fight anybody up there.
I think he needs to rematch Conor.
Yeah. Would you like to see that at lightweight?
That's the... I don't care what weight they do it at. I think that it's owed to him.
I think so, too.
And
that was another one we talked about. A guy who's been so dominant, a champion for so long. Held that belt, defended it, and then he gets knocked out in a fluke. Okay, there was timing there. I'll give it to you. But gets caught.
Right.
And he's not
And that's where I'm at with the Stipe thing, too.
Not given a rematch? I mean, at least when he fought... Holloway, and he lost. Holloway took his belt. Holloway gave him the rematch and lost again.
Right.
There's no questions.
Right.
There's none. Back in the day, when BJ Penn lost to Frankie Edgar, I was one of the first people that was like, man, fucking Frankie didn't win that fight.
Yeah.
BJ should be able to keep that belt. And then he fought him again, and I was like, all right, you're right. You're right. You got me. You guys got me. Frankie proved it. I'm sorry BJ couldn't keep it.
Yeah. Dillashaw Garbrandt.
Yep.
I mean, Namajunas... Jezerjack.
Yeah, another one. You're like, snap.
You know what I'm saying?
Gave her the rematch. Oh, yep. She still has her number.
To me, it makes it seem like McGregor and Cormier are running from these guys that they took the belts from.
Thinking that, I could go with that. Yeah, that they're kind of, give the guy a rematch. If you are so dominant, prove it.
Yeah,
not just once. You need to prove it twice.
Do it again.
Like a flash knockout, you caught him. Good. You timed him. Look at Joe Lauzon. His debut, he fought Jens Pulver on an undercard. Joe Lauzon, right? He came in, he was 19 years old. He said he knew that Jens would throw this one punch in his first throw. So all he did was train one move the entire time. He goes in, knocks out Jen Pulver.
It paid off.
And it paid off and flat out said, I just trained for him. Somewhere out there is a guy training to beat one of these champions with one move in that first opening round, knowing they've been training. And the guy who has the belt doesn't realize it. They don't realize where that flaw is.
Well, because they've overlooked him.
They've overlooked him. And so when that happens, I think you should give the champ a rematch.
Because
I really do.
That's perfect, too, because I think Stipe overlooked Cormier.
I think a little bit, yeah.
Completely underestimated what was going to happen. And I think
Underestimated
Aldo,
the hands, yeah.
And I think Aldo underestimated Conor.
Oh, hands down. And he was so in his
Literally,
head.
his hands were down.
He was in his head. We all know Conor was in his head. And
Right.
Jose Aldo even says, man, I should have never played that game. I would like to see a rematch there. I think at 155 would be great.
Yeah. And so this is the one that cost Eric Kowal $1,000 or $10,000.
I don't know who he bet on.
No, I think he said he picked everybody but Marlon. And if he would have went with Marlon,
He would have won the big pot.
yeah.
Dang.
That
Marlon
sucks.
Morales defeated Rafael Assunção guillotine in round 1.
Yeah, I just picked Marlon because I love the Wayans brothers. Really, I mean, it's like when I go to a racetrack. You should see why I pick some of them.
It's like the girls that are like, oh, I picked them because of the mascot.
Yeah.
You did final, what's it called? March Madness. And I got a couple girls into it. I used to run March Madness pools back in the day. A couple girls wanted to jump on it. And I'm like, oh, what'd you pick them? Oh, they're the Tigers, right? Yeah, they would totally
Mascots.
Beat a hawk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Huh?
Yeah, I think we had a March Madness at my job that was like that. There was no names of teams.
Just mascots?
It was just mascots, and you had to pick by mascots.
That's awesome. Moving on from there, we have a Bellator event. This Bellator event apparently is only available on Bellator.com or the Bellator mobile app. This is going down in Newcastle, England. You like that? He looks a little crazy, don't he?
I was just saying that tattoos have escalated. At what point do we have somebody come in no clothes, just tattooed?
Just tattooed, like they tattoo the shorts on. I think at this day and age in MMA, it is harder to find a fighter with 0 tattoos than it is a tattoo.
Yeah. Especially once they win. If they win, the next time you see them, they got
money,
8 more tattoos.
You couldn't afford the tattoos before.
Yeah.
Bellator Newcastle, with your main event being Pitbull versus Scope, is going down tomorrow in Newcastle, England. This is the start of Bellator's European series. So, yeah, they're expanding to Europe, and they're having the European series now. Again, as far as I know, this is not on DAZN. This is not on Paramount. This is only on Bellator.com and Bellator mobile app. From what I've seen, it's only the prelim card, but I've been assured by a couple websites, including My MMA News, that you should be able to get this all the way through the main card. Main card, Terry Brazier going up against Chris Bungard, Fabian Edwards against Lee Chadwick, Aaron Chalmers against Corey Browning, and your main event, Patrick Ferry, Pitbull Ferrari going up against Ryan Scope.
Gonna be a great card.
Yeah. If you like Bellator in England on a phone. And then, of course, the big event for the weekend. This is UFC 234, also known as UFC Melbourne, UFC Whitaker versus Gastelum. Only available on everything but DirecTV. So if you have DirecTV, one more time, make sure you rewind this podcast. If you weren't paying attention, find out why you can't watch it on DirecTV, and make sure you get it somewhere else. Prelims are on Fight Pass. Let's start off with Waluigi Burin going up against Jonathan Martinez, Calhan Potter going up against Jailene Turner, and Lando Venata going against Marcos Rosa. Again, on Fight Pass. Then moving on from there, we do get to see this on ESPN.
On the ESPN.
Which is weird. At least it's not ESPN 2. Because ESPN 2
has
officially become the Ocho. ESPN 2 is getting real fucking weird, man. I've been watching axe throwing, drone racing, cornhole.
The drone racing. And
they were playing Madden the other night. It was 2 guys playing Madden.
Yeah?
I'm like, so we don't have football? We got to watch 2 kids play it on a game?
But those kids are making 6 figures.
Yeah.
But still.
Somebody got a belt at the end.
Yeah.
But on regular ESPN, the big channel, we got Teruta Ishihara going up against Kyoho Kang, Kaikara France going up against Raleon Pavia, Shane Young against Austin Arnett, and Devontae Smith going against John Huma. All up on the ESPN.
Always going with the donger.
And then, again, coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia, the main card on pay-per-view, as long as it's not on DirecTV, starting off Jim Crute against Sam Alvey.
Damn, I am Crute.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Monta De La Rosa going against Nadima Kasim.
Oh, that's 4 names.
Yeah. What are you going to do there?
I'm taking 4 names.
You're going to take 4.
And you can't click on her.
Nope.
All right.
Ronnie Yaya going against Ricky Simon.
Yeah.
Yaya, all right. Israel Adesanya.
Come on, Anderson. Come on, Anderson.
Silva. This fight
Come
is
on,
a huge
Anderson.
fight
Submit him.
fans. Huge fight against fight for fans. Huge. I mean, you got the style bender here talking shit, saying that he's the reason this card is sold out.
Maybe.
It's because
no,
of him.
It's about Whitaker.
It's not the main event. It's because of him.
It's Bobby Knuckles.
You got, against Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva saying, there's no way he's going to beat me. I mean, people are saying this is the future version of Anderson fighting the older version of himself.
So I hope the older version wins.
You're taking the Spider?
I'm gonna take Silva.
All right, I gotta take Stylebender. Man.
I know you've been riding his jock the whole time.
He's a good fighter, man. I like him.
All right.
I wouldn't be surprised though if Anderson pulls this out.
Yeah.
But if it goes to scorecards, he's not.
He's solid, but I don't see it happening.
I just saying. And your main event, Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whitaker, who is on his home field advantage from Australia.
For me, it literally is a toss-up.
Kevin Gastelum after the Ultimate Fighter. What was that? Ultimate Fighter fucking blah 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 blah. Right? These guys were both didn't they headline this? Right?
I don't know. It must not have been good because Gastelum was like, it had its time, but now it needs to move on.
We just need to move on from the Ultimate Fighter. We don't need the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, I know ESPN's
he goes being on it
ESPN Plus, but we don't need it.
Yeah, he's like, now I was on it, I realized it's just a bunch of shit.
Who you taking in this fight?
Man, I'm
going Bobby Knuckles.
I'm gonna take Bobby Knuckles, but I'll let you know if I'm gonna switch, but how they walk in is really going to be the decider to me. Yeah. Because I think both these guys have the ability to come away with the win.
They're going to pick up the new Power Ranger coin belt.
Yeah. I mean, I could lay down work on either side to tell you why either guy is going to come out ahead. I think this is a great matchup of power punching.
I got Bobby Knuckles. I'm sorry.
No matter what? You don't see Gastelum winning at all?
Nope.
Yeah. I'm with Bob. Like I said, I'm picking Whitaker, but I could put up a good argument for both sides.
All right. That is it in your week of MMA. Of course, always check our Facebook. We always try to keep you updated on what's going on a daily basis as stories break. Because our show is going live a day earlier, there may be something happens tomorrow.
Right. And because of the things that Facebook's doing, we are slowly trying to move over to YouTube. And also Google Plus is disappearing, which I know a lot of people don't use it here. But around the world, we get a lot of hits and views from people around the world. And so we might be going to a thing called MeWe or TikTok.
No, TikTok is like video editing where like you add.
I don't know.
Videos
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you options. I'm just telling you options that have been put forward.
And then it like cuts off. That's TikTok. We're not going to TikTok.
Yeah, but YouTube.
Maybe that's a Chinese restaurant somewhere around here.
But YouTube for sure. And
are you talking about WeChat? Are we going on WeChat?
No, it's not WeChat. It's called. I'll show you later. But anyway, you're not part of that.
I'm not. I don't get to know.
You're not part
things.
of distribution.
I don't get to know these things.
He's
what
just
I do get to know.
No, he can know. He's the star.
Ashley wears our shirt up here.
Yeah.
And you should be wearing our shirt too. Make sure you go over to shirtsicle.com/SDMA.
If you showed up to a production meeting, goddammit.
Pick up yourself up a shirt. Hey, look, this stuff doesn't even work. Pick yourself up a shirt at shirtsicle.com/SDMA. Make sure you check out My MMA News for all the late breaking news, as well as our Facebook. We try to link them up quite a bit because they do stories every single day, or we do this once a week, including a day early.
Yeah, and look out for his interviews. They got a lot of interviews coming out this weekend.
Great interviews. Make sure you check out SynCal here in Modesto, California for all your tattoo piercing stickers needs, because we come to you live every week from the SynCal studios.
For a little while longer.
Well, yeah, we're working out a deal.
We'll figure something out.
We're working out a deal. We might be homeless. We don't know.
If somebody else wants to house us, let me know.
Hit up Dennis. He'll work something out.
If we have to go back to my house, my wife will kill me.
Might have Marco. I promise. Well, I can't promise, but that's it.
No longer than a year. 3 years.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Later.